Welcome back to the Lifestyle Kitchen. Today we're looking at a wonderful dessert, more a summer dessert because it has ice cream involved with it, but as we warm up into that time of year, you'll be able to serve this. It is baked Alaska. So what I've got going here is the meringue. We need a meringue for baked Alaska, so I've already got in here 2 egg whites, which I'll put a pinch of salt with, and I'm actually beating those till I get a stiff peak out of them. So this is what I'm after. I'm wanting basically a reasonable peak. I've got a damp cloth on my bench which stops my bowl sliding around, especially the glass one, but it will work with any bowl. And now I'm going to start slowly adding caster sugar. And we want to beat that caster sugar in until it dissolves and the meringue will start to thicken up. So in between that, on my tray, which I'm sure the camera guys will be able to get a shot of, is the chocolate cake. So I've made a thin sheet of chocolate cake, and what I've done, I've cut it into little circles, and that's going to be the base for our Alaskas. Now, as this is the last in our series of Farmers Market, what we're using today is we're using gelatos and sorbets from Sopranos. So Kirsty at Sopranos is involved with the Farmers Market. So in the summer months she comes down with her wonderful homemade gelatos and sorbets, which you can still get at Sopranos, but are available at the Farmers Market. So change hands if your hands are getting tired. We want a nice, thick meringue. So beating well after each addition of sugar. You could do this with a handheld beater, electric one. Or if you've got a cake mixer, put it in the cake mixer as well. That's what I want, a nice, thick meringue that's going to hold. So, the sorbets and gelatos that we've got from Kirsty is we've got a peaches and cream and we've got a berry. So what I'm going to do now, let's transfer myself around. We put a piece of sponge on usually a metal tray. I'm actually going to put 2 pieces today because they're a wee bit thin. So on goes our sponge. Then we're going to put on our peaches and cream. So what we want is a nice scoop, and we sit that on top of the sponge, give it a bit of a press down, and then we want a scoop of the berry. I always do 2 different flavours when I'm doing Alaska. You could just do one, it's a personal preference, and I also do an ice cream and a sorbet like I'm doing here. Then stick our second one on top, and give it a press down. So you have to work reasonably quickly when you're doing Alaskas. Now the old method was to put your Alaska into a very hot oven and that would glaze the meringue. But today's technology, we can actually use little blow torches, and this is one here. There are plenty of them available in kitchen shops like Southern Hospitality or E. Hayes and Sons, and they work really a treat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to encase all that peaches and cream and berry in the meringue. And as my son was telling me and reminding me, when we used to make Alaska, we would actually put a little eggshell or half an eggshell in the top of the meringue. You'd fill that with some brandy and you would set it alight, and as it went to the table it would actually be looking like it was on fire. We need our plate beside us. We then get our blowtorch, crank it up, and all we're doing here is colouring the meringue. And that's enough to cook it. It's not enough to melt the ice cream inside. There's little bits inside. And this is the tricky part, to carefully transfer it to your service plate, just like that. And then we'll put a wee bit of mint just beside that, just to finish it off. So there is our individual baked Alaska, peaches and cream and berry gelatos encased inside the meringue.